Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Licea podcast. My name is Licea, and I'm here with you guys today to get into this saga that we're doing here at the podcast, where it's become a thing where live streaming current event hip hop news when it comes to this beef that's been going on with Metro Boomin, Future versus Drake. Right? That's how it started. It started, let's see, let me get the timeline here correct. So what happened was, let me see. So what's happening is, on the 28th, the night of the 28th, there was a Kendrick Lamar feature on an album that Metro Boomin, the producer, and Future, the main act, did, called We Don't Trust You. And the whole album was presented as a project against Drake for some reason, right? Because what's going on here is that I didn't know Future and Drake had problems up until this point, and that became an issue, right? And from that album was a feature by Kendrick Lamar where he went at not only Drake but also J. Cole, which was a surprise as well that he was against J. Cole. We all knew kind of, at least the general consensus was that Drake and Kendrick Lamar weren't cool after a minute. And I've seen recent videos that show them sending subliminals throughout the years. I wasn't aware of that. But what it turned into was, I guess it's been over 10 years now that they've been against each other. You know, those, on a lot of their albums, a lot of Drake's, big albums, a lot of Kendrick's big albums that were shots against each other. Did not know that up until recently, but this was the boiling point. Kendrick responded on the 28th on a song called Like That was on this Future and Metro Boomin album called We Don't Trust You. Now, Like That got a lot of attention that week, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago almost. And from that situation, right, it started up a whole debate on, Drake. Is Drake going to respond? Is J. Cole going to respond? And it turned into a situation where J. Cole responded the next week. He responded on the night of the 4th. April 4th, he responded with an album, a short EP called Might Delete Later. And he threw many shots at Kendrick, talking about he's the greatest. And he even went at Kendrick. He did a takeover. Took a line from the infamous Takeover that was Jay and Nas beef, where he tells Kendrick, one of the memorable lines that J. Cole tells Kendrick is, you had 4 albums in the last 12 years, and only one of them was popping, which was a slap in the face, I would say. But I felt he should have kept it at that, but he did not. And what happened was J. Cole ended up apologizing for dropping that diss only a few days later, which was crazy that happened, right? So the whole world is turned upside down with J. Cole apologizing. And so that's an issue, right? For hip-hop fans. A lot of old school hip-hop fans, just in general hip-hop fans, it started a problem to where, why are you apologizing, which was very disappointing for a lot of people, especially people that I personally talked to. They're very disappointed that J. Cole did that, which I was a little bit too. I kind of get it. He named his album Might Delete Later, which is kind of like, he kind of, fed into the fact that this is like, I'm on the fence, right? Which gives him some leeway, in my opinion. But ultimately what it came down to is, regardless of what J. Cole thinks he did or what I think he did or what anyone else thinks he did, J. Cole has definitely opened up a lane. Just opened up this whole different avenue where people are just going to fucking go at him and say that he's not the greatest, right? TMZ ended up going to the prison and calling Suge Knight, right? They called Suge Knight on the phone. Like the ultimate OG, or like one of the ultimate OGs, to talk about his opinion on the situation. Of course, he's from Compton. Kendrick's from Compton. He's praising Kendrick and he's downing J. Cole, saying some real things that I do agree with, even though I don't agree with Suge Knight's whole philosophy and all of his choices in his life that led him to prison, right? He did make some valid points in that telephone conversation with TMZ. He said things like, it's a contact sport, kind of keeping it kind of like what hip hop could be with like, what hip hop is with, it's being, relatable to sports, right? Contact sport. There's only one great, you got to be the greatest. And I get that. But ultimately, it's just crazy how wild. It's never been seen before. J. Cole apologizing has never been seen before, which is new, right? There's always something new, right? So from that comes this last Friday, this last Thursday night going into Friday on the 11th, was Metro Boomin and Future's sequel album called We Still Don't Trust You, right? And basically we all knew everyone on that album was going to be against Drake. And one of the surprise things that happened was that J. Cole was on that album, which was not a good thing, right? And so what happened was it turned into an issue of whose side is J. Cole on? Is he on, the other side, or is he with Drake? And so that's where Drake is definitely. Travis Scott was on the first half of the first album, which was crazy because I don't know where Travis Scott and Drake became problems, but they have problems obviously because this last weekend you saw videos of Drake shooting guns and explosions at a fake Travis Scott head, which is crazy. And today Drake released the diss, the reply, right? And with that reply, he comes into with the line that says 20 versus 1, which is true. Like, it does take a lot of people to take down Drake, but I mean, will this be the end? Probably not for Drake. But I feel like this is something that he needs to talk about, which I'm glad he did. Drake got his side of it. And I don't want to sound like a Drake hater. I like Drake. He's cool. But what does this mean? What does this mean for hip hop that Drake? Because one of my guys on here, one of my podcast buddies on here, Horizon Drive Culture, he just put Pusha did it by himself. He did, but the world, I don't think. You know what happened? Horizon Drive Culture. I feel like when it came to the Pusha and Drake beef, I talked to people today. They don't even know it happened, right? They don't even know who Pusha T is, which is crazy. I mean, it's like an underground hip hop thing, maybe. But a lot of people don't know who Pusha T is, right? Or they'll dismiss him because they think Drake is the bigger artist, which means he's a better artist. But a lot of people don't know that beef went down, which is crazy. Like, it's one of those things where, like, if Drake would have just, when Scorpion dropped, if Drake would have just not said anything, right? Not even addressed the Pusha T stuff, Pusha T would not be relevant today. But Drake was so hurt that he had to respond. He did those. He didn't really respond, but he kind of changed Scorpion to where he was directing everything towards Pusha T. Anyways, Drake is very emotional. That's my point when it comes to that. He gets very emotional on certain things, especially when it comes to his credibility. But what happened was Drake responded with this response today, 2 days after the initial. All this has died down, right? Everyone's said their piece against Drake, and Drake has finally now responded, which is perfect time for him to respond. And just as he responded around noon today, what happened was 2 hours later, Rick Ross came with a whole response, which if anyone could say anything to Drake, it's Rick Ross, because Rick Ross was the only one of these artists that we speak of that was before Drake, who could actually sun Drake. Because what I feel like is the problem is Drake is trying to sun Kendrick Lamar into being like, because Drake did, Kendrick Lamar was the new artist when Drake was already big, and Drake talks about bringing Kendrick Lamar on tour with him, right? So it is kind of a slap in the face for all of a sudden Kendrick Lamar to be talking shit to Drake. I could see from Drake's side, but Drake is so egotistical, he cannot get over the fact that I'm better than you, right? I started before you. And so my point is this Rick Ross thing, I feel like Rick Ross is trying to bring this down to a lower level and say like, hey, look. And he's saying some things that are very disrespectful to Drake, saying some inside information, talking about like he had a nose job, he got liposuction. He says all these things, and he calls him white boy over and over again, which I know that's getting to Drake's ego. I know that Drake has, as of, lately, since his rap career, you've seen him as if you look back into the Disney Channel days, back when he was on those shows, right? He was the mixed guy. He was like, was he black? Is he white? But now, as an hip hop artist, he is leaning into the black side, and he says the N-word often. People forget that he got exposed by Pusha T with the blackface thing, right? Which should not be. It was gone. It was gone and gone. It was gone. No one talks about that anymore. But he did blackface, and he never paid anything for it. He really did it. Like, that was like a big. I feel like it's a big fucking deal when it comes to being a hip hop artist. Like, how are you gonna do blackface and let it slide like that? It slided. And people love Drake. Horizon Drive Culture says it's like Cannabis and LL. Cannabis cleared, but LL claimly won. But honestly, it was because LL is a hip hop legend. I think Cannabis died from that. Honestly, Cannabis was never the same from that. I mean, I don't think he was ever the same from the jump. Like, he was good in the beginning, maybe like first couple like singles he did. But I can't name you a Cannabis album. I know that 4-3-2-1 song, which is the only thing I really know of Cannabis. I know he did I know a couple things maybe, but I have to be pressed for it. I can't tell you off the top of my head. Pusha also talked about his hair wouldn't nap enough right. So that's what I'm saying. He made a point of that, which I really think maybe that was like an insider thing, because I never heard him talk. Maybe he did talk about it on interviews, because Drake was very talkative back when he was first coming up, in interviews and stuff. But maybe I feel like he definitely has struggled, just from like knowing him and listening to his music. He's definitely struggled with the whole black-white, mixed family relationship kind of thing, where he pushes into the black side. But realistically, it's like, dude, I think it gets to him. People call him white boy. I really fucking do. And maybe Rick Ross knows that, and he's feeding into that, because Rick Ross isn't really, I feel like Rick Ross, he proved himself over and over and over again, and he could sun Drake into something where it's like, dude, just fucking shut the fuck up, right? Horizon Drive Culture says, neither can I, but second round KO was brutal. Oh, he's talking about the LL and Cannabis beef. LL's response was weak. The only reason he won is because he's hip-hop royalty. Okay, so I see what you mean. So, like, LL was, I could see that. I remember that Phenomenon song there was a Phenomenon, very famous song by LL Cool J back in the 90s called Phenomenon. And it was such a poppy song, but there was underlying disses to Cannabis. And Cannabis was so underground. I remember thinking, like, wow, LL has the advantage when it comes to, like, pop culture, getting his word out there. And Cannabis didn't. A lot of people today probably don't even know who the fuck Cannabis is. Unfortunately. He was a good hip-hop artist, but he just didn't make the cut. Yeah, LL Cool J. That was a different story, though. LL Cool J and Cannabis were a different beef. It was sad. Like, it was really sad, that beef, because from what I recall, it was a situation where they were all doing a song together, and Cannabis asked LL Cool J, like, LL Cool J has this, like, iconic microphone on his arm, right? Anyone who doesn't know, all the youngsters, LL Cool J, he is like Will Smith almost, but not as famous. He was a rapper turned actor, right? So LL Cool J had this mic on his arm, right? And Cannabis did a thing. What's up, Xavier? So Cannabis did a thing where he said, like, let me borrow that mic, like, as like tribute, like, let me borrow that mic, on a song that they were all pinning together, right, back and forth. I guess they weren't in the same room. They were kind of collabing. And what happened was LL Cool J took offense to that, or he just like joking with him, and he changed his verse in that same song. So in the song 4-3-2-1, with like, it's like Method Man, I think Redman, LL Cool J, Cannabis, and then Busta Rhymes maybe, and Be Real from Cypress Hill. And so you hear, Cannabis's part is like, you borrow that mic on your arm to LL, and then LL's part is like, oh, DMX on it too. Right. Good shout out. And then it turned into a situation where it was like, LL Cool J turns his rhyme into like, fuck you, you can't take the fucking, like, how dare you tell me you could borrow my mic, and he just starts talking shit back to him, right? In the same song, which like LL Cool J did it to a surprise to Cannabis. Cannabis said no. So it's a different story, but it was disrespectful. I feel like that LL Cool J did that in first place. Maybe he was joking with Cannabis, but I can see how a young artist could take that the wrong way. But when it comes down to this situation, Drake is definitely like this person that everyone feels like they shouldn't fuck with, but why not? Fuck with him. Fuck it. Fuck him. You know? Let's hear. And then like he does do some dumb shit. Like on that For the Dogs album, he did a song where he was talking shit to Rihanna, talking about like, you know, her last album was called Anti. And so he keeps saying anti, and he keeps going at Rihanna like, I've had better pussy, to be honest, and your man now couldn't do what I do, like spend bands like I do. He's just going into it, just dissing A$AP Rocky. Not only Rihanna, but A$AP Rocky. So when this Metro Boomin album just came out, it's so great that A$AP Rocky was able to respond, and he said things back to Drake like, I can't believe you're in your feelings over a woman. He says, your last project was, came and left. He tells Drake that he hit it first. Crazy shit that is like crazy. Right? Here's drug culture. That's that pussy shit he's being hypocritical about. Drake, you talking about? Because if you're talking about Drake, or you're talking about LL Cool J? Because you were talking about LL Cool J. Anyways, I feel like this is just crazy. I'm glad we got it. And I hope you heard, I hope you guys heard the fucking no, Drake. Drake, yeah, right. I agree. But I really do think that it was good for hip hop. But maybe they're distracting us from the real cause. What I talked to some people about today. You know, maybe there's some other things going on. We don't know what's going on in Syria right now. Maybe they're bombing the fuck out of Syria right now. We don't fucking know. And they want us to focus on this shit. Who knows what the real agenda is? Right? Who knows? But anyways, I think it's interesting as fuck. We are popping in, popping out. I like it. Thank you guys. What else? That's basically it. I'm surprised that Drake responded. They said it was a leak at first. And then the first version I heard had a DJ Khaled stamp on the beginning. You know, the DJ Khaled intro. And then I heard a Funkmaster Flex version. No, DJ Who Kid. I heard a DJ Who Kid version where it was like without that. You know, what about Rose? What about Ricky Rose? Horizon Drive Culture said, don't forget about Rose. What about him? I mentioned him. I mentioned the song. He said a lot of fucked up shit, which was valid. Calls him white boy. Oh yeah. I just talked about that. We'll go into it again. Yeah, the Rose, I feel like I'm hoping, just because I don't want to sound like a Drake hater. I really don't. I mean, I like Drake. I went to his concert this year, or last year. I went to the concert in August in LA. Like, it was a good show. We had fun. You know, I enjoy his music, but at the same time, it's like, I feel like he's up here, he needs to get knocked down a peg, you know? Maybe just a couple times in his life. One time. You know, when that Drake, I'm not gonna lie, when that Pusha T thing happened, I was excited, and I was glad. You know, I was really hoping Drake would have responded. He kind of did. He responded with that fucking Duppy freestyle, but it wasn't as good as I think Duppy Freestyle was first. Yeah, that's right. And then, so it was Infrared, then Duppy Freestyle, and then it was The Story of Adonis, which was the killer of End All. But I enjoy seeing this happen to Drake. I just feel like he needs to quit this high horse shit. He did say some good stuff, though, on this disc, which you had a question, you know. Did he write it? Did Drake write that shit? Because that's the thing, too, as you think about. Like, I heard this disc. There was some clever lines that Drake said. You know, he said the thing about, just what I said right now. Like, you know, he says things like, you know, I created Kendrick. What else did he say that was clever? He said the thing about, fuck, I just thought about it right now. What the fuck was I just saying? Oh, I wish someone was here to fucking, like, bounce off of. What the fuck did I just say? I forgot, but there were some great bars in that Drake diss against everybody. 20 versus 1. He's like, what is this, 20 versus 1? I laughed at that line because, yeah, it's like, come on, bro. How many people do you need to go at this guy? Oh, he did the thing about Prince, you know, because that was a line. Because Drake always compares himself to Michael Jackson. And on the Kendrick Lamar diss, Like that, Kendrick Lamar says, Prince outlived Mike Jack. And then in this rebuttal, Drake says, a prince is a son to a king, right? Which I thought was clever. Like he's listening to everything and he's saying everything. I'm glad that it's come down to this point of Kendrick and Drake are actually talking to each other. Like there is no miscommunication. There is no like, are they? Because there's been interviews, you know, where they ask Kendrick straight up about certain subliminal disses. I've seen where Kendrick's like, nah, I'm not talking about Drake. You know, they ask him point blank, are you talking about Drake? He says no. And with this recent diss, Kendrick Lamar, I'm glad he opened up and said, fuck sneak dissing, you know, and he goes into it, which is great. Good for hip hop. Horizon Drive Culture says, grocery store music. Most Def kinda. I don't know what that is. Is that was Most Def getting into it with somebody? I never heard of grocery store music. But no, man. And another thing too is, you know, because I don't want to sound like a Drake hater, but Drake dropped his diss at noon. And what happened was Rick Ross, dropped his diss 2 hours, 3 hours later after that, right? And it kind of like took over his you know, his moment. He took over his moment. Couldn't remember the exact quote. Well, yeah, just if you think of it, say it. Or if you remember it, say it whenever you can. Because I don't know what you're talking about with the grocery store music. I don't know what that is. But I feel like Rick Ross really took over Drake's moment. And I hope he did, because Drake isn't, you know, his word isn't say all, I don't think. And I feel like he has a skewed version of reality. You know, he sees things in a different way. Like he even said, like he telling Kendrick, SZA is better than you. He said, SZA is better than you. He said, what did he say? SZA is better than you. 21 Savage is better than you. And Travis Scott's better than you. Right? That's his top three. Which is like, I don't agree with that at all. 21 Savage, Travis Scott, and SZA? Like, if that was like the top three, like, is that he thinks that? No. Honestly, because of this situation, I'd say take J. Cole out. You know, I wouldn't say take him out of the. I'd say take him. He'd be like 6, right? And the 5 would be somewhere in there, like maybe Future now. Rick Ross, Kendrick. I don't know, but I mean, I have to put Drake in there somewhere. So that's 4. Like current. Like the current greatest, right? You know, if you're talking, I'm talking about like, you know, all time, I'm talking about in this day and age, the current, like top, yeah, like the most relevant, right? The most relevant people. So it'd be Drake, Kendrick, Rick Ross. What did I say? Future. Like they're like the most relevant I could think of. 5 could be, you know, it's a mix of a bunch, but not J. Cole. I feel like J. Cole lost his place. Rise and Drive Culture. When they asked Most if Drake was hip hop. Oh, was that grocery store music? I don't know. Was that like the interview was called? Yeah. So they asked Most Def about something about Drake. What he thinks about Drake. I forget what the question was, but I remember. I'm paraphrasing, but Most Def said something about Drake's music being like mall music, like stuff you shop at the mall and listen to. And then Drake kind of responded. I remember he was on tour and I went to see him around the time when he kind of was talking about that shit. And he responded, but it wasn't. Also, Childish Gambino, I don't know if you know that Horizon Drive Culture. That was a thing too, where remember Childish Gambino was like in an orange field or like an orange orchard, sitting down, like they're asking him about Drake, and he had said something about the song, the single he did called "This Is America." It originally started as a Drake diss, and then he changed it up, which is like, why is everyone trying to diss Drake? Like, what's going? Like, is there something we don't know about? Is there something like secret that's going on? If so, let us know, guys. Fuck. Like, don't just fucking hint at it or like just say I don't like him. We should all not like him. What did he do? Like, what? He's on the top? If that's the case, that's a shitty way to knock someone down just because they're on top. Maybe that's why. I don't know, guys. All I know is this is good for hip hop. It is really good for hip hop. I'm excited. You should all be excited. Anyone who watches hip hop, anyone who listens, anyone who's into this shit, check it out. If you're not, this is the news. You're aware now. Drake has problems with 20 guys. And it's going to get crazy from here. I mean, Kendrick's going to reply. And I feel like J. Cole, he might try to come back from it. I wonder if Horizon Drive Culture, did you hear the new album? The We Still Don't Trust You? He says, I think it's because everything is so vice versa with him. I just think Drake has a very skewed vision, a skewed perspective of the world. It's fucked up. Just because he has so much money now, he's on top. You know, he's like he can do whatever he wants. I really do like the thing he said with SZA. You know, SZA, Travis, and 21 are the greatest, are better than Kendrick. What? I get the SZA thing because SZA used to be on Top Dog. Kendrick Lamar was on Top Dog, so maybe that's like a shot. Like you're not like you're the artist you signed is less than you, is more than you. You're less than her. But Travis Scott and 21 Savage, I get 21 Savage because he works with them all. You know, they just did that album, Her Loss. You know, Drake, 21 Savage, they did Her Loss, which I get why he would say 21 is the, but no, 21 is not at all, I would say, top. Maybe we'll see, but I doubt it. No, maybe he's trying to make people think that and put it in their head so that it becomes something, like manifest it. And Travis Scott, I can see how some people think he's the greatest. I don't. I really do not. I feel like he's just a fucking Drake copy, or a Kanye copy. Like he copies his last album, Utopia. He copied so much Kanye shit from Yeezus. I don't know if anyone knows that. That's just a hot take. I listened to Utopia, right? And I listened to Yeezus like probably 100 times, maybe 200 times. I know Yeezus, right? Kanye's Yeezus. It's one of his most hated albums, but I like it. It's a good album. And there are a lot of songs on Travis Scott's Utopia that are just Yeezus ripoffs. And I seen interviews of Kanye telling people like I'm making the sounds for 10 years. And he says that in 2013, which in 2023 was when Utopia came out. He's like, yeah, I'm making the sounds of the future. And then here comes Travis Scott taking those sounds and playing them for the present. The fuck? Horizon Drive Culture said, he's Disney. I'm assuming he means Drake. But gangsta. He's a pimp, but makes heartbreak music. He pulls hoes, but hits all IG models on DM and pays their donations. Yeah, and that's a thing. It's like he's pushing 40, dude. Drake's pushing 40. You can be 40, living the bachelor life forever. Like I get it. He's gonna make it look cool, but look at his dad. His dad's doing that. His dad's been doing that. His dad's been trying to do that. You see all the Drake's dad is trying to basically capitalize off of Drake. He does his own music now. He has music videos and he's out there doing shit. And it's like, dude, what are you doing? He's probably fucking these little fucking hood rats out there. And that's what he's doing it for these little, perks. And Drake is definitely doing that. He's playing that card. And I thought maybe having the kid would have made him realize and slow down on that or change his whole perspective. But it's not. Yep. Steve Harvey wannabe. He says Steve Harvey suits. What does he say? Something about Steve Harvey suits? Yep. But yeah, that's where we're going with this. Fuck it. Fuck it all. So yeah, man. Here we are. Here we are with this. And we'll see how it goes. But from here on out, all you gotta know is that we are definitely in a new moment of hip hop. Rest in peace to certain artists. We'll see where it goes from here. Thank you guys for watching. Have a good one.